Hey, what's going on, y'all? I'm Original Flow. This is yet another episode. We're going to be delving into my upcoming album, Blackmankidboy. And yeah, I'm going to ask a few questions about the song they picked. And we're just going to see what happens. Yeah, live. Yeah, it just happened, just like that. So deal with it. So you chose Uncle Tom. All right.
This reaction already.
I know. I'm supposed to be the one, waiting on your reaction. So we're gonna get this started here. Everything's live, so okay. You ready?
I'm ready.
Okay.
Like a regular day, every 9 to 5 making regular pay. Then you walk in with a regular hate. I could tell by your face that you hated your fate. Had a grin so wide I could tell it was fake. Still I greeted you. We talked back and forth, it was cool. You said you was proud of me too. Then you start changing your mood. I'm thinking what happened to you. Way in the back of your youth, attacking your blackness and truth, forcing your mental to change. And seeing your culture is strange, despising your African name. Caught up in playing that game. You look at me feeling the shame, hourly pointing the blame. You told me your key to success was cut off my hair and impress. This in the way I was stressed, claiming I wasn't original. I was just following trends, claiming I wasn't original. Damn, you sound hollow and grim, thinking I could have been him. But I am not wooed by the gaze. Some people cannot be saved. Some people stuck in their ways. Even worse when they look just like you. Look dead in the face, don't like you. Don't wanna build, they wanna fight you. Continue the story of slaves, shooting and killing the brave. A monkey that's glad to be caged. I knew he was feeling my rage. Then he had nothing to say, rambling under his breath. I'm thinking like give it a rest. I do not have to repress. He should have encouraged the youth. He don't have the courage to do. He would have uncovered the truth. Instead he loving his fluke. Man, I'm not following you. Man, I'm not following you. Damn. So I'm Uncle Tom now. Ain't like you, so I lie now. Ain't wearing what you wearing, I ain't fly now. Take a look in the mirror, what you find out. So I'm Uncle Tom now. Ain't like you, so I lie now. Ain't wearing what you wearing, I ain't fly now. Take a look in the mirror, what you find out. Look at it. Look at it. Look at it.
Wow. Man.
Yeah.
Like,
So I am very curious that out of all the songs, you chose that song.
mm-hmm.
So why did you choose it?
Obviously, like the title just like caught my eye, and like just like thinking about like originally like the meaning for like Uncle Tom is a lot different than what it is now.
Yeah.
Like people like looked at it as like it was in good standing. Like when you go back to like the book like Uncle Tom's Cabin.
Yeah.
Like like he was helping the slaves, he was protecting them, and then you're in our generation now. That's the last thing you want to be called.
Right.
Just because people, look at that as someone that's, trying to do whatever they can to be liked by whites.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like trying to figure out like where that plays in for you in your life. And I was just like, there's got to be some there's got to be like a deep down meaning. Like either it's something he's experienced, or like maybe he had felt like he drifted into that stage at one point and like had been called that, or like trying to figure out what the background story is behind that.
Yeah. So it's an interesting story because I had made, it was funny. It all started when I was at my job,
Mm-hmm.
and I was just doing my thing, you know, just doing my thing, just working. And this older black guy comes in, and he looks like he's about maybe in his early 60s. So he walks in, and I greet him like, "Hey man, how you doing?" And he looked like he was happy, but he wasn't happy,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And he just kind of had that tired kind of look, you know. So I had that conversation with him, you know. I was like, "Hey, you doing all right?" He was like, "Yeah, man." He was like, "Man, it's so good to see a black man working." And he's like, "Man, they got you up here in the front, man, looking all nice." I was like, I appreciate it, man. He was like, yeah, that's cool, man, but you know, like maybe you should like, you know, chop their hair off, you know, just settle with a fade, man. You don't need to, you know, try to, you know, fit in with, you know, all these young bloods out here. You just, you know, cut your hair off, man. I guarantee you that they ain't asked you for a promotion, did they?" And like the conversation just went from like real cool to like, "Yo, what's going on?" You know. And he was telling me to cut my hair off, and I mentioned that in the song, and he was telling me like that'd give me a promotion if I cut my afro. And you know, my good friend, he works there too, Andrew, my pianist, and he was about to leave, and I was dapping him up, and he was like, "See, what's up with that?" You know, he was just mad that, you know, that I was, you know, dapping up a white guy, and he was just so you could see how he was conflicted on the inside. And so he had, at the end of our conversation, like he looked at me, he was like, "Man, you old Uncle Tom ass," and like just looked me up and down. I was like, "Hey man, like you're an elder, like you shouldn't be talking to me like this." I was like, "Man, I listened to your story. I listened to everything you said, you know, telling me I need to change my hair, that I'll get promoted. I listened to all that stuff because you know, you're my old. That's how I was raised. Like you listen to your elders." And it was very disrespectful, and I told him to leave. I was like, you need to get out of here. And like I asked to be excused off the floor, and I go back, I go into like our little break room, and I like punch the mess out of this. I put a little dent in it. I hurt my hand mostly though, but you know, it really upset me because I'm like, you know, we had just did our event at UCO,
Okay.
for the black youth, and we were, you know, we were teaching in that class, you know, about how to deal with a predominantly white institution and going into it as a black man. And I was just kind of taken back because he was like, "Man, you probably like spend all your money on J's, you probably spend all your money on this and that, like, you know, you don't do nothing." You know, he was just going in on me. And what inspired me to do that song, it was not necessarily about the history of, you know, Uncle Tom. You know, I'm glad you brought that up, and a lot of people are not aware of the true history of Uncle Tom. Mainly I brought that up just in spite of him.
Yeah.
You know, and it just upset me a lot because that wasn't even supposed to be on the album. Like, we were working on the album during this point, and it was just gonna be something completely different. That song was gonna be completely different. It was gonna be not a personal, like, it was like an attack towards him, like, you know, how dare you, like, I'm literally, you know, speaking out, trying to support our black youth, and, you know, trying to restore confidence into them, to be prepared for the world they're going into and stuff. And like, I'm trying to help them, you know, get through this. And like, you're like attacking someone that is like for the culture 100%, you know. And it just baffled me, and I just, you know, shook my head at the whole situation. And it really inspired me to write that song. And that's why it's not even like a hook and like all that stuff. It was just straight up like, yo, this is what happened. I just wrote out the whole day. Like, this is what happened. And that's how it ended. Like, I wish I could have ran into him again, and I would have talked to him. That's why like I spoke on like, this is probably what he's going through. This is what he had to deal with. Like he had to conceal his blackness for so long that he had a lot of pain, and he never accepted his blackness. You know, probably changed his diction, changed how he dressed, changed how he wore his hair. He probably had an afro too, you know, and I just really started thinking about these things when I wrote it. It's like, man, this dude really took away everything possible for being black.
Yeah.
To try to get where he's at. And that's not the case. And then I took a line from Toni Morrison, to not be wooed by the gays, which I felt like was paramount to that conversation that I had with him. And I even said, you know, I could have been just like him. You know, if I accepted that my blackness is somewhat of inferior to what we've been given in America, but that's not the case. That's not true. And I felt bad for him because he, like I say, he's an elder. You know, he's an older gentleman, and he still has this concept in his brain. And it made me upset because, you know, I can only imagine the people that he's influencing, you know, speaking like that to other black youth. I'm pretty sure like some of the black youth probably just beat his ass. You know, like being real, like they're probably just, you know, but you know, it's just a conversation needed to be had. Like I don't feel like he ever had a point in his life to where he felt like it was comfortable him being himself. In that moment he could have been, but instead he decided to put on what he felt on the inside to me. But yeah, that was a long explanation.
It's all good. I mean, I love hearing that. Like, it just like really just paints the whole picture. So like, and I feel like, you know, just like hearing that, I feel like you probably just had to feel a little bit discouraged. Like, you know, like as you said, like, you know, you're looking towards elders to help guide you. Like there's stuff that they've went through that you haven't went through, and then like to be put down like that, like, and like as you said, like you don't know how many other, you know, young black men, black women as well, like that he's doing that too. And like, so like, you know, with that being said, like, do you feel like that puts more weight on your shoulders, like knowing that is happening and like it happened to you? Do you feel like there's more weight on your shoulders to reach the generation underneath you, or even just the people that surround you?
I feel like I always feel like I'm not doing enough. I mean, that's for anybody that tries to perfect their craft, but I feel like I'm doing what I can at this moment, and I want to use my platform, my album, to speak on these situations, as I was with depression, as I was with gun violence, and you know, dealing with these situations. I wanted to speak out on these things from my perspective, to try to help someone understand what's going on, because there is a lot of conflict going on with that, because you know, black people, at least I can speak from my personal experience as being a black man, we're just now getting into the era in which we feel like we can actually open up and talk about what's been happening without the thought of being assassinated for it.
Yeah.
You know, we can actually talk about Black Wall Street without getting killed, or our families' lives being threatened, you know. I feel like we can do these things now. So, you know, that's what I feel like where I'm at. It's like being vulnerable enough to talk about the issues that bothers me on this album, and to be able to speak up on these things that I feel like are relevant, at least from my personal perspective, to people I feel like that can relate to it.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Just like a question, you know, just listening to the song, like what, you know, was there a certain kind of mood that you're trying to catch with the instrumental, the beat? Because like, you know, it kind of like when it came in, seemed pretty like soulful, and even then you hit the end of the song, you know, you have that period where it kind of just seems like it hollows out, like there's kind of a little bit of like emptiness feeling.
Yeah.
So is that like something? Is that something that you wanted, like you were looking into, like?
That's actually really cool. I don't think I thought that deeply about it. But yeah, let's say that. Yeah, yeah, it was all playing like that. No, PLB, he is a maestro with production, and I think because he went in and mixed everything, I feel like after hearing the initial song, what I had wrote to it, because he was like, bro, ain't no hook on this one. I was like, nah, bro, just listen. He's like, all right, he listened and he was like, yeah, okay. And we have so much chemistry and so much understanding with one another. We were able to bring that together and to create something I feel everyone felt.
Yeah.
And it's interesting that you had mentioned that that hollowness of like, man, like, is this even the right way to go about this? Which is that, there is that black culture. We don't know the right way to go about things. We just have to go about it.
Yeah. And
just go through the mess. But yeah, I'm really like, that was very intriguing that you picked that song, so I'm excited.
Oh yeah.
But yeah.
That's all I can think of from my side of it.
Yeah, I feel like we covered just about everything. One quick question: do you feel like what part of the song do you feel like hit you the most, as far as lyric wise, if there was any?
I can't think of direct lyrics straight off the top of my head, but just seeing the transition at the beginning from him walking in to him having a smile, sparking up conversation, and then there's that grimness, and then it completely changed the mood of the song completely. So that was the first thing that captured me lyric wise. It's just that switch in the story from this is going in a good direction, and then it just got off path, and it just continued to go off path in the wrong direction.
Okay. Man, I think that's it. That's it for me. Just let them know who you are.
Cody Johnson. You can find me on Instagram at Coach Johnson 17. I coach college basketball, so you'll see a lot of basketball material. But I've known this guy for a long time. Been following him for a long time, since Militant Minds and Flow Mentality, all of that. He's one of my favorite artists to listen to. You always get the real version of him. He never tries to hide anything. He wears his emotion on his sleeves. He's just a very authentic person, and that's the thing I love most about him. Is that, and he's also trying to uplift people and trying to direct people in the right way with his music, and he pours himself into everyone that surrounds him, and those are the things I appreciate about Flow.
Appreciate that, man. Well, thank you, man. Thank you for being here, brother.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate you. Yeah.